midnight, so let's just see how we are. If
I
we are
always
hooked
say
up and hooked
you
in.
can always tell when you're stressed going into a show. You get that little snap there, eh? It could be midnight when we're live, but you know what? We're the only damn pigeon show in town, and if we come on at midnight, it'll still be the best pigeon show in town. Even if someone starts a show at 11 o'clock, this one's still going to beat it. Why? This is the people's show. Look at, I still got the odd dummy coming in. You see that? Unreal.
Okay,
Pioneer
so
Villagers. How's it
we're
going?
live. Oh my goodness. We're live on Facebook. I'm just checking that we're live on YouTube. We are. This is Leah, Ryan, and Richard from the Pioneer Racing Pigeon Club of Ontario with your Monday night family show. Almost didn't make it tonight, folks. We had some camera issues, so hopefully the camera is going to hang in there for the duration of the show. You guys know what to do. If you have pigeon questions, pigeon related questions, put them in the comments section and we will do our best to answer them. If we can't answer them, somebody in our audience, I'm sure, will be able to do that. Hello to Dave Ottaway, Frank Eichhorn, Mike Sheridan on Facebook. Take it away, Ryan.
Yeah, we were actually really ahead. We were almost on 6:15, and we just had mega camera issues. Thank God we have one camera that's deciding to play the game. As for yesterday, the Pioneer transporter / trailer fundraiser closed. That went really well. A lot of support. Nice to see. So I think that was good. I think the breeders did a good job sending some really nice birds, and I think the new owners, are going to be happy. Birds are looking good. That's that on that. I think, Leah. What do you have to say?
I thank everybody who bid, all the breeders who donated their birds to the winning bidders. Congratulations. I know a few people have paid. We appreciate that. Thank you. We need the payments in for your auction purchases. I need to know what team name you want the bird to go under and what name you want to name your pigeon. If we could please have all that information and everything paid up by the end of the week so we can put this auction to bed and move on, that would be great. And that was it. So Neil in the
Yeah.
house, Robbie
How's it
Taylor.
go? How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Ricky, your birds are starting to go good here in the afternoon time. They're out and about. I had a little bit of trapping issues today. I got some real stubborn ones. Man, I got them stubborn. I got them so stubborn, they drive me nuts. But we're gonna work the kinks out of that. A little bit of time we got to take. And as we say, they're stubborn now. Sit on the roof now. We'll see how they are at 300 miles, if they can make it to that point in the game. But I got a few, boy. They're stubborn, don't you think, Ricky?
Very stubborn, especially at the age they're at. They should be just.
Oh, the cockbird. That cockbird that's out there. He's in love. Eh? He needs about a half a kernel of corn.
I don't know what.
And it depends on when he gets that half a kernel. Eh? You see him come into the section, and he's strutting, and the other ones are eating. He's strutting like a real idiot. The focus level, eh? And I think cockbirds and one-loft races. I'm never sending a cock to a one-loft race. Forget it.
Well,
I would never bet on him.
I don't. I'm thinking if he's strutting like that, I got that with mine, and I'm feeding them. They're all eating like crazy, but there's maybe about 5 or 6 of them. They're out strutting around and doing their thing, and I'm almost thinking, if they're doing that, that means the rest of them, they're overfed. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. They're overfed.
Yeah.
Right. So they're overfed. A pigeon has 4 days of feed in his gizzard for 4 days. So
Wow.
even though the rest of them are eating like crazy.
Yeah, but you start to play a fine line. You're playing a fine line, and when you have 200 birds in a loft, we're not talking 20 pigeons, right? We're not talking 40 pigeons. When you start getting into the numbers, look at him. Look at him on the roof there with his hen. And he you know how great this cockbird is?
That hen belongs in here as well.
Oh yeah. He doesn't have one hen, eh? He got 6 hens.
Yeah.
But it's just how he is. but it drives you nuts. And the thing is,
So,
you can play with the feed all you want. The problem is when you got 200 birds.
So what I would do tomorrow
What's your
is
thought?
I would not let him out tomorrow.
He's not coming in tonight.
Oh, you don't think so?
He won't come in. Nope. He'll go in the garage. He'll go behind the thing and call for his hen. And I'm not going underneath there.
No.
Forget it.
So when you get him,
No, you can't. You can't. He's good for 3 days in. He's good for 3. He'll do it for 3 days. He'll come in good on the 4th and 5th day. You know what he says? Oh, I'm just too strong. Is it a good sign or is it a flaw? I don't know. Leah, what do you think?
I think maybe if he gets into a tough day in the races with a little bit of heat with a bit of headwind, he may just forget about all this playing around.
So the bird is not interested in coming in, right? When you call him, he just don't want to come in.
He's interested in going and eating out of the basket. He's interested in going in the garage. But he ain't interested. You know what? His brain ain't in serious mode. It's
so how do you guys solve problems like that? Audience, you got any suggestions for Ryan? How he can straighten this bird out, break the bird of the bad habit? Any suggestions?
There's one real good suggestion, but I don't want to mention it. Because it is a customer's bird, you don't want to do that, right? But
and the thing is, they're almost, I believe some of them are a little bored. We're time to move to the next level here. The next level's close here in a couple days. And then we play again a little bit more with the feed. But you're trying to get them loft flying good.
I always like to say at this point, if you have too much maturity, it can hurt you.
Yep.
Because yes, they are nice and strong and they look like a pitcher, but they're just too mature. So now they want to go to another stage.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes I like even young ones that I got right now that are just starting to fly, right? They're not mature. They're little kids, very young teenagers or whatever. And so what do you see? You know,
hey,
so
Dave
Ottaway says, turn that stubborn attitude into motivation. Frank Eichhorn agrees with you. Dave says, I don't feed him until he comes in.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. Motivation is very good. He might be in the best spot if he's sitting on eggs.
All right, well, but again, and then we talked about this, right? I got an extra issue there, right?
Right.
That's my issue up there. That's why, right? Because he lives off 2 grains of feed.
He's in super condition.
Oh, the condition on the bird's second to none. But he's getting his 2 pieces of grain out of there, and then I'm done. So that's the game I'm playing with him because I have a neighbor, and actually this is a good thing. I got a neighbor that's feeding wild pigeons.
Right.
And this guy, he's figured this out to the T, right? So I got to now go around it and break him. We're going to get him broke, but I just look at him sitting on the roof, and I just basically want to take him in the car. I want to take him 100 miles and say, hey, guess what? Thanks for flying with me. Now let me see the ship between your ears.
Dave says, give him eggs, and he will come like crazy.
Hey, you know what?
He's got a girlfriend there. Maybe
he got a girlfriend. He can't get it down on eggs. You know what? I seen him. He tried to take her in the garage there where the cat thing is. Oh, you had 3 hens in there. I'm looking at him going, come on, wizard, let's go. Don't worry, Dave. Your stubborn one last year. Remember the blue hen? She was stubborn the same way. And you know what? It took me to get her training, and then boom.
We can't close the garage door up here because of
the
internet.
The internet,
right?
We can't do the show. I'm telling you, with the caterpillars and what we're going through with the door, we're possessed.
We got a good wind here today.
Beautiful wind.
Very nice.
Tomorrow the birds should loft fly good. This morning we let those birds out again in that tight sky. They fly okay, but they never fly the same as they do when it's nice and clear and bright and the wind blows. It's a different loft fly. And I look forward to tomorrow's loft fly because I know the last 2 days
it's going to cool down tonight.
Yeah, birds look fantastic though, and you can tell they're getting better and better condition. They walk more on the tippy toes, even more. You can just see it. And they go into their section. When you open them up to go into their room, they pop up to the perches, and you see them start to coo and groan. Oh, we're ready for the next step, Leo.
Neil has a question, and he says, question for everybody. In old bird combine racing, in the results, why do we seldom see birds that are 3 years or older scoring or being shipped?
Well, it's quite simple. If you look in North America, we're going to use North America. Again, I hate to say it. This is a third world pigeon country. We're brainwashed with only young bird flying, okay? Because you start a new team every year. Most pigeon men here, there's no long distance race. There's no real schedules, and guys don't want to put the time in to develop old bird teams. They don't want to do it. They want to, because here in North America, and Leah, you know the difference between here and Europe. In North America, it's work, 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 work.
Yeah,
You
work
talk to people in Holland.
work meaning your job, like your
Yeah,
career. There,
yeah.
it's a totally, from what I've seen, it's a different environment. It's a different mindset in Europe. It is not 60 to 80 hours a week work week. They don't do that there. It just,
No.
I mean, not that I've seen, not that I've experienced.
They love to loaf. They love to say, "Oh, Leah, isn't it not literally every month they have a week vacation?"
Yeah, literally. It's like in the
Literally.
summertime in Europe, they're on holidays more than they're not on holidays, which is fantastic for them. They have their governments develop rules that state that everybody's allowed 4 to 6 weeks holidays a year, whatever, blah blah, whatever.
But I think with
I think time is a factor. Dave Ottaway says people over race them too young and maybe
Yes.
burn them out.
that
Yeah.
was I was going to say
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
If you go to Europe, the guys will young birds, they'll only take them out so far the first
But,
year, and then they'll stop them. Where in this country, we're all going, oh,
but
let's have a three. Let's go to 325 miles or 500 kilometers, and then let's have an encore, an open race, 350 miles for young birds. And I think what Dave's saying is 100%. The birds get burnt.
I agree,
the,
but
the,
I agree, but I'm going to agree another second.
let me finish. The other thing too, as well, is you get a lot of people in this country. They go, oh, you see that blue bar there, that young blue bar? Yeah, I won the club at 150 miles.
Oh, yeah. Stock bird. Let's stalk her. Let's stalk her.
Direct to breeding loft. Yeah.
He was 10th in the combine the week
No,
before.
it wasn't. It was 157th in the combine, and it looks beautiful.
They right away they stop it, and they say, I got to stop this thing because I bought the parents for so much money, and I got to stop it. You got to look at it this way: fly your pigeons 4 years. Start off with 40 young ones. Give you an example.
Actually,
fly them 4 years in a row, and what's left at the end of 4 years, we're talking young bird, 2 years, 3 years, 4-year-old, what's left at the end of the 4 years, then put them in stock.
And where do we hear this from? Dean Pallett. Again, I go back to the man. Race your young birds a season, put them into yearlings, put them into 2-year-olds, put them into 3-year-olds. After 4 years, out of those 40 or out of those 50
you're going to have 4 left.
3 or 4 left. But he said, I guarantee you they will breed you the good ones.
Well, 100%.
Because they've done the test of time. They've beaten all, the luck, the oops, I won the 500 miles, that's a lucky, right? Ooh, lucky. Like you look at the Big Andy. You look at the Big Andy race this year. The bird won by 19 minutes, 500 miles, right? Hold on.
Did it one time?
Wait, one time. You know what? That pigeon right now, well, how much you want to buy babies off of it? You got guys on Facebook for Father's Day coming by out of this bird. This is the best thing I got right on. The guy can't win a pigeon race anywhere. He can't even hold a pigeon right. And guess what? One time. Wins one time. Can I ask you something?
What was the win?
Can I ask
what
you
was the win?
Was
the win 17 to 2100 meters?
17. The wind is so fast.
It took the feathers right off the bird.
Here's the best thing, though. Is a pigeon more valuable? Okay? Would you rather buy a pigeon, Dad, out of a one-off race winner that won the gentleman $100,000? or would you rather buy a pigeon that's ace pigeon in the combine as a young bird, ace pigeon in the combine as a yearling, and did 3 years of flying? What would you rather buy a pigeon out of?
Before
Exactly
Richard
what you
answers
said.
that, let's ask the audience. Those are our two options. What would you guys rather pick? The one loft race winner, the one-time one loft race winner that wins $100,000, or the proven combine winner, race winner after let's say 2 seasons.
Yeah,
A young
well,
a youngster,
an ace pigeon, an ace pigeon.
yeah, a youngster and yearling did really well as a youngster, did really well as a yearling. What would you guys pick? And put your comments in the comment section. I'm just going to get to the comments here about some other things, and then we will go to the comments about that question. Bill Vulgaris, getting back to your stubborn pigeon there that wants to hang out in the garage. Hey, Bill, nice to see you. By the way, thank you very much for your auction donation. You haven't been on when I've thanked you in the past, so thank you very much for that. Okay, Bill says it's a one loft race. Treat him like the rest. If he comes, great. If not, oh well. No special treatment. If it was a private loft, it's a different story altogether. That's
Yeah,
Bill's
well,
comment.
I think that's a good point, and that's what I'm doing right now.
What if I could say something, my friend?
Mm-hmm.
This is just not a one loft race.
No.
Yes, it is. Different people put their birds in and buy perches. But we are flying these birds 9 weeks, and Ryan has taken the pride into try and make every single one of these birds an athlete.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just trying to win with every bird.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in the big payouts and that. I know, and I think Bill understands that. We're gonna tweak this bird and play with this bird, and you know what? Well, I'll show you the bird on the next hand inventory. I'm gonna tell you something. He's out and he's being stubborn. He's like a piece of steel. There's no hurting him. He's not dumb. You know what he just is? He's got a little bit, his chip on his shoulder is real big. And that's a good sign. It's okay. And like Dave said, once we get him locked in here a little bit more, we get the training going, we're back to feed, do a little bit more adjustments, tweak. Way the races we go.
If you're flying your birds, a good idea is you fly a youngster out of a section, and he completes that year as a youngster. You leave him in that section. The next year as a yearling, leave him in that section, right? And then start a next group of youngsters the year after into another section, and you leave them there. Because a lot of times what happens is you move them from their section, say, oh, now you're an old bird, you're going to be an old bird next year. But you move into that section, and that also
you turn some off. You turn some off. And again, that was another Dean Pallet.
Well, no, actually, I told Dean Pallet that when I was talking to him on the phone.
Hold on. But that was another thing that we had talked about, and that's what Dean had practiced, right? He had a loft for the 4 years. He had 4 lofts.
Yeah.
4 lofts like this. So your young birds from 2020 go in this loft. They race out of this whole loft for 4 years. And he said,
I'm not saying to the guys, build lofts.
No, at the end of the 4 years, in this loft here, that's 32 feet, he would have 6 pigeons in it.
And those birds at the end of 4 years would then become stock birds.
Right. And he'd move them over, and then this would come for the 24th year.
Section number 1 would reopen for the next group.
But we talk about, and we had it the other day, we were talking to a pigeon guy here in our showroom, and he said, if I went to Europe, I could fly with the best of them. Well, you want to hear something? The man over there, and I use Dean Pallet, you ain't going to fly with him. Because when he takes the screwdriver and turns it, he knows how to turn it just to that spot. And then you know what he goes? I need just a wee bit more. And bang. And that little bit more is where he flattens you.
Well, that's where the adult pigeon flyer, Dean was saying, the children of the pigeon flyers, they take their pigeons about 1 kilometer away from their house, and their buddy has pigeons next door on their bicycle, and they let them go, and they sprint The
Yeah.
kids, they have fun sprinting against each other with the birds. Sprint.
A kilometer
He says
sprint.
the pigeons don't even. They come off the bicycle, and they just go straight, whang, right to the loft.
Yeah.
And that's because they've been trained, the young kids, how to feed, right?
And they tweak them for those things.
So Henry has a question, but before we get to Henry's question, I just want to get to the comments here. Getting back to the question about the old birds and why they only race them so long. Dave says there's only so many races in a pigeon. Use them now or use them later. Dave Ottaway, obviously, where he is, they race them together, old and young, in Nova Scotia. So it's 10 races, and he says it makes no difference. I've been doing it for 3 years now.
So we haven't done that here, and I'd just like to ask Dave, is there a difference really?
Comments.
Okay, let Leah finish the questions. Go ahead, Leah.
Okay, and
then give Leah her zone.
Yeah, I just want to get to the comments here. Getting to the question of would you buy the proven combine winner or the $100,000 one loft race winner? Frank Eichhorn says the combine pigeon. Replay Brian Mansker says, for me, it would depend on what the competition in the combine was. Some combines around here, around where he is, are pathetic. Which, I mean, I guess you got to be looking at the results too, right? I guess.
Yeah, you know what? I would
like to say
I agree with Brian. I agree with Brian.
I would like to say something. Right. If let's say your one loft birds were led up at 500 kilometers, they're young birds, 325 miles, air miles, witnessed they're let up.
Yeah.
And if that winner, okay, first of all, I'd like to see the training tosses before that to show me what velocities they were flying. But if that winner, let's say, wins that at 900 meters per minute, or 1,000, or 1,100,
good working days.
That bird, he's been on the wing 9-10 hours. That bird is worth maybe buying.
Right.
But if the race is 500 kilometers and the speed is 1,700 meters per minute, and he's out there, you know what? It's a joke.
But again, and this is what we get back to. You know what? I'm on the Benzing clocking system, and so are you.
Right.
And I pulled up the other day, and I'm not knocking it. I looked at the first Victoria Falls race. I looked there and said, oh, maybe I'm interested in going there. Eh? Everybody's just, oh, Victoria Falls. I got to get to Victoria Falls. They can't do nothing wrong. I looked for one race, I think it was 1,600. Next race, hotspot race, 1,700. You want to know what? What are we really racing here?
Can I ask you a question? I'm just going to be a bit funny.
Well,
can you imagine if that was a tailwind?
Can you imagine if it was a tailwind? Yeah.
So I have a question on behalf of all the newbies. When you say that 1,600 and a 1,700, when you see that, that indicates to you that they're not working. But when you see like an 11, 12, or 1,300, can you explain for us new people what it is that you're talking about there?
Means headwind.
So the speed. When you see on your results, you're going to see on the results, the higher the speed is. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2100. The higher it goes, yards or meters. It depends on where they're racing out of Canada and America, and in Europe it's different.
So what is
it's either yards or meters.
Here it's meters, right?
Yeah. Meters. So the higher the number, 13, 14, 15, it means the day is faster. Real good days where it's a good pigeon race, you're between 12 and 1,000. That's when the pigeon
is working.
Everybody is sort of almost in that fair zone to working. When you see fast speeds, basically the quality of the pigeon is not the same. And I hate to say that. I know people are going to get mad. I like to see a pigeon that's going to do 1,700 and win. I like to see the same pigeon come back at 1,000 and do it, and then be real good in the 1,200, the same way. And there's those pigeons that do it, but there are some pigeons you only see them when it's fast, and when it goes down to 900 or 1,000, you never see them because they got no what do they call it? They got no sandpaper. They can't dig.
They can't work.
They can't work.
Brian says, I agree. Looking at all the birds' total work for the season, I would prefer the top ace pigeon that performed the best throughout the whole season.
Right.
That's right.
And,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
and again, I just need to go back to the Europeans because it's what we know. For the most part, it's what we auction off. And if you look in their results, there are very few of them, very few that you'll see one loft racing results. It's few and far between. It is all club, combine, federation, provincial wins, national wins, Olympiad wins. They do not base their breeding program on one
Now,
loft racing
now,
at all.
I've looked here and I shake my head, but there's a new race now in Africa.
Right.
You got to fill out a resume. It's 10 weeks of racing, right? They're building a new loft. It's great. You're gonna
Oh,
have 10 weeks,
really?
10 weeks of racing young birds. Oh yeah, you got to put a resume. Does this sound anything like we've talked about it after a few
So
drinks?
you mean if he had a speeding ticket,
No,
he couldn't get in?
you got to tell the people what you've won to get in this thing.
Oh,
okay. So it's real. Poshy, real high-end professional, right?
Right.
But meanwhile, basically all we're asking for is another pyramid thingamajigger. They're gonna fly these birds 10 weeks, and they're gonna put the test in. Now, I watched Victoria Falls, and that was tailwind crap. I watched the South African $1 million race. That's tailwind crap. My bet is this one will be the same thing. They're going to do 10 weeks of tailwinds. Because you want to know what? Every pigeon man is the same. We all hate to lose. And we all hate to admit that my pigeon just didn't have enough jam to do it. Now, you and me are different. We don't whine like that. We whine about other things. But you're going to see they're going to have to do it the easy go way, because everyone is set up for easy go way, go way.
So let's get to the comments because we've hit a chord here with this one. Brian says if it is over 1,400 yards per minute, I discount the race because the birds were not tested. Dave Ottaway says at 1,200 meters per minute is a fast race here. We average around 1,000 meters per minute or lower. Henry says the birds are just coasting home because the winds are blowing them back. Carl Gavin says, I find it funny when people say 1,300 meters per minute is a tough race. I agree to anything under 1,200 meters per minute is a good, hard race.
Good.
That's why I said
we're all baking the cake. We're all baking the cake on 1,200. At 12, I could have a whole year at 1,200. I'm happy.
I see 900, 1,000. Right. That's a working race.
Yeah, you're gonna dig down, and you're gonna see the quality of your breeding program. You will never find your breeding program on tailwinds. And if we go back to 2 weeks ago, when the combines let those birds out and buried them, the birds got buried. Number one, because the pigeons for the last 5 years have been getting spoon-fed to be babies. And what do you get? You get a baby result.
You know what? I believe in what you're saying. It's like saying, take your pigeons and don't fly them for 10 years. Just keep them pretty in with pedigrees in a box on the wall, and say, you know that I bought that, and I bought it 10 years ago, that pair, and I haven't flown any youngsters because they're just too pedigree. And at the end of that time, you're going to find those young ones out of those high-class, expensive, perfect pigeons. I mean, pigeons flying from top breeders in Europe. If you don't fly them, let's say for a period of time, they become stale garbage.
Yeah, you retard the system.
Right.
It's true.
You know, you're almost better off to have your stock birds raise around this year, fly them, eliminate all your stock birds, and then raise young ones out of those birds and keep flying. You know what I mean?
That's
or be selective.
Be very selective. And it's good to be selective. But again, it depends on where you're flying. It depends on where you're flying. If you put all your eggs into one loft, I'm using one loft basket,
right?
And the guy needs to make the money. The loft manager running the race, he needs to make the money. Hey, I look at these birds I got here. Let's just say I'm talking to you. They're really not flying good at all. They're terrible. They look like shit. If I butcher the system and cheat the race to get all the birds home, I'm screwing your breeding program because you're believing that these birds have done it. And this is what I look for in all these races. All these races are running, and I'm going to tell you something. They do a piss poor job of the filming, of the showing me the whole thing. I showed you today.
Yeah, but
The
that's
birds flew like
where
crap.
we're different. But there's a
Right.
there's a difference between what we're flying and what regular one loft races are flying. When a
Right.
regular one loft race, when the loft manager only has to prepare them to go 2 or 3 weeks at the end of September, or that's a totally different animal than what we're doing, which is training them to compete for 9 weeks of combine racing up against 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 other birds. That's a completely different beast.
I don't know if I should say this, but I look at it as good pigeon men are really looking for a reason every time they walk in their loft to eliminate.
Yeah, that's right.
Eliminate. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I
Go.
went to Francis and Verdun's place. We went in and we looked at his youngsters,
Yeah.
and he said he had a bunch of young ones there, and said, "Well, that's a beauty, that one there. Who that was a real attractive bird. Who's that out of?" He says, "I take them, I wean them, I write in my book who they're out of, and I wean them and I put them in a section and I close the book.
The book's closed for the year."
And he says, the only time I open that book up is at the very end of the year. Then I look at the bands and say,
"There's no favorites.
There's no favorites." And I got guys. I'm looking after birds here for guys, and they call and they ask, "Well, how are my birds doing? Well, you know what?
How are my birds doing? You want to know what? I don't want to know how they're doing now.
I want to know at the end. Then I'll tell you how they're doing.
That's
if
right.
I tell you now,
Yeah.
you're gonna say
it's bad luck. They're not
number
gonna do it.
Bad luck. Or maybe you got lost off the roof. Well, it's my fault. You got lost. No, it's not my fault. Your
Okay,
bird flew off the roof.
I've got some more. I want to get to Henry's questions. Got some more comments. Want to say hello to Michael Peevler over on YouTube. Guys, if you are on YouTube and you have any comments or questions for us, please feel free to put it in the comment section. We will not forget about you. Carl Gavin has a good point. He says that I think fast races can make an average pigeon flyer look like a superstar. And you see it time and time again,
right there.
That's 100%.
Best comment right there.
Do you want to know what pigeon I buy off a guy? Mm-hmm. I look at a guy, a beginner flyer.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
This is a good point.
Okay. I look at a guy, a beginner flyer. I know he really doesn't know anything. I know it. Okay. And I watch him fly. So you can take a look at a combine, different clubs, and look at the results. Look at the results. And you're going to go, oh, this pigeon here won in the club, and he was 10th in the combine. Who's the owner? Okay, we'll look at it again. Oh, this time he won in the club again, and this time he was 30th in the combine, that bird. Oh, look again, the same pigeon. Now you see who owns that pigeon? Who? This guy's his first year flying.
Yeah, he's a nobody flyer. Okay, he's a nothing.
And that bird wins, average speed or whatever it does.
The bird's 15th overall average.
You know what? You go and buy that bird off the fellow.
That's a way of looking
at it. It's not the guy, it's the bird.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And he's worked. And a lot of times those novice, or what do you call them, novice flyers, they fly them every week. They don't know any different. They fly the shit out of it.
They don't know how to bring them back. Bounce, do this, that.
Like he started with 30 birds, and it's always that one bird. And at the end of the year, he has 3 left, but that one bird's there. And you know what he tells everybody? All the birds are garbage.
Yeah,
they're all garbage, right?
But hey, there's many ways. That's a secret for buying birds. Anyways, go ahead, Lee.
Okay. Little secret. Dave Ottaway says that's why I never call you Richard. I will see on race day, and it's the truth. You can almost like give your birds bad juju. Like you just wish them to go to fly away or to get sick and die. It's sometimes almost better to just send them and check in every once in a while with the results, maybe online or whatever, but just kind of forget about it until it's race time, or you literally will drive yourself crazy, right? We've seen it with quarantines. The people who import birds, the ones who are calling you weekly, daily, how are my birds? How are my birds? How are my birds? Those are the ones that usually end up dying in quarantine, where it's the other guys who just, oh yeah, whenever they're ready, no problem, just let me know. They do fantastic. It's almost like you wish, you give them bad luck or something. I'm going to get to Henry's question here. I got to scroll back up and find it. Henry, sorry about this, bud. It took me a minute to get to it. Okay, Henry's question. Question, with the Pioneer birds this year, we are flying young birds and old birds together. Is it wise to train the young birds with the old birds?
Sure. Train the old with the young, then take the old away, train the young on their own, put the old and young back together. I don't see it being I don't see it being a problem. You can play with it a bit. You
Now,
can you look at McAloney, right? McAloney swears it. He says, "I always have a few old birds with my young birds. I always have my
oh,
few
yeah.
old birds." Yeah, and again, that's a secret ingredient into a cake, right?
He feels that the young birds are in an apprenticeship,
An apprenticeship.
and you put in a few old birds, and the old birds will help
it out a bit.
Help them.
And I don't think it's a bad idea. I really, really don't. I don't. I think it's a good idea.
Well, question for Dave Ottaway, since Dave Ottaway, where he is, he flies old and young together. Dave Ottaway, are you training your old and young together? I believe that he does.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he has the cocks and the hens separate. I think.
Wasn't it about a month ago that the AU made a statement saying it will be illegal or it will be not allowed to fly old birds with young birds? To me,
killing the sport, killing the sport.
To me, I don't understand.
About that a few weeks ago.
So you ask Dave, because Dave's doing it, and ask him. Dave might say, "Oh, the yearlings, they come ahead half an hour ahead of the young birds. Is that true? Is that false? Or the young birds go? I mean, why would anybody say that it's not good to fly them together?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
We're getting a wind here, folks.
I think Dave said it's an old wives' tale.
It's a wives' tale.
So why would these
guys train them together?
So, Dave, I believe what you're saying 100%. I don't know why I'm not standing up for these people.
Right.
But they said they're going to enforce it, that it's not going to be allowed to fly old birds with young birds. I think it's a pile of bullshit.
But here's the
my language.
Yeah,
sorry
it
about
makes
the language,
no sense.
Gerard. Dave Ottaway says that he separates the hens and the cocks. He says age is not considered; they are just hens and cocks.
That's right, hens and cocks makes sense to me.
So when he ships the old cocks and the young cocks
together.
Right, and on the other side the same, but they're all liberated at the same time, right? Yep. That's good.
And he says that they all come together and there is no difference in them at all. Because how do they know how old they are?
Well, hey, can I ask you a question? When you're 25 and you go out with a 28-year-old, do you really know the difference? Or 24-year-old with a 19-year-old, do you really know the difference? Not really.
No.
But I think there could be a difference if you're shipping, let's say, a 6-year-old pigeon, and he's flying against the yearling, or he's flying against a young bird. I think those younger pigeons would probably
a little more zip in the end.
It depends on the day. Well, if they got headwind, if they got
but that's for another day.
Older pigeon's going to have more experience. Maybe he's going to fly through the rain. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's going to do different stuff.
You got to learn experience, right?
So
go ahead, Leah.
Waiting for the questions. We don't have any, but I have a question. We have some new members, like brand new, meaning like they're starting out pigeon racing this year. They've decided this is something they want to do. They want to get a loft. They want to start flying pigeons. We have a new member. His name's Dave Wood. Welcome, Dave, to the club. He's in his early 30s. I think he had fancy birds as a young boy, and now he wants to get into racing pigeons. He's joined our club. I have a question. Advice for new flyers. Because once you become a new flyer and you start telling people, hey, I'm a new flyer, I'm going to get into it, people very kindly often start giving you birds, gifting you birds, right? They'll be like, oh, hey, here's a cock and a hen. Good luck. Have fun. And they do it as a kind gesture. What is your guys' advice, you and Ryan, as well as the audience's advice, if you are just starting up and you're a new flyer? should you be taking a pair from this guy, a pair from that guy, 4 birds from this guy? Is that what you should be doing to start off your team, or is there a better way?
I think the best advice is you should be buying the best pigeons that your money will allow you to buy. Okay? If someone says to you, you're starting off, I'm going to give you 20 young ones. And the next guy says, I'm going to give you 10 young ones. I would be looking at records first. And I'm just saying.
You know
that
what?
That way you focus. You will focus as a new flyer. Focus more on your project. Do you understand me?
I think overall what you're saying is you got to invest to make yourself a little bit become more serious. And when you invest, you then stop saying, I ain't going to watch Major League Baseball. I'm going to go out there and work because I spent maybe $10,000 on these pigeons and I want to try and do it. And then the other thing is, if I have another thing, watch how many people you listen to because you're going to get a lot of bad, shitty advice. I mean, real shitty advice.
Hey,
Watch that out.
I just had a thought. I had a thought. So here we have like a new guy or a new girl starting out, and they're just starting. So literally, they're like baby. They have no idea what they're doing, right? When it comes to like sickness, this, that, the other thing, they really don't know. So here you have a new guy or girl who's starting up, and you're getting 5 or 10 guys who are nice enough to say, here, I'll give you 5, I'll give you 4, I'll give you 2. Are you not kind of almost creating for a brand new beginner flyer a one loft situation like what you have there?
Yeah.
What you're an experienced
Yeah.
30 however many years, and you see the struggles that one loft races have when they start getting in all these birds from everywhere. Then you're sticking that same situation on a smaller scale, yes, but that same situation, giving it to a brand new flyer and
Hey,
saying, you think you're doing him a nice favor, and what are you giving
hold,
him? You're giving
hold,
him
hold,
headaches, aren't you?
hold on. This is the cutest thing. Let me cut you off here. This guy loves rollers. He loves rollers. He just has a thing for them.
I got cracked tumblers.
Hold on.
Well.
But you like rollers, okay? So the weasel come in and wiped out all of his rollers. Whoop, gone. So the roller phase went away for about a couple months, and he talked to a guy, and the guy said to him, "Hey Richard, blah, 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 I got rollers, blah 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 blah, rollers, blah 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 blah." The guy ended up bringing him over a pair of rollers. Okay. Whatever. He brought you a cockbird, a pair, whatever. I don't know the details. You let the pigeons out. Says all the thing does is tail glide. The thing don't roll. He found out later he got the bird from a pigeon show, whatever. But the guy said to him, nice, oh, I got rollers. I got rollers. I got rollers. Remember, because you buy a racing pigeon or you have racing pigeons doesn't mean you have racing pigeons and they are racing pigeons and you know what to do with those racing pigeons. So if you start up and you get birds from him, most of those guys, all they're going to give you is their calls anyways. That's really what they're going to do.
I would, if I had, I would get myself one good cock, real good cock, and I would buy 3 good hens or 4 good hens, and then I would bull that cock. Now we're going to get into a different, right? And then I would go and work around that.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what takes time. You know what? You will not race Moss cars after the first or second year or something. You know, it takes years.
You got to learn it, but you know what? You got to figure out where you want to be in it too. Some guys, they want it just to be a part of something, and some guys want to go out and win. You look at some guys that get involved in anything and they become great at it because they're determined to do it.
Well,
And
sure. Well,
it's up
sure.
to you.
People do have different mindsets, and I get that. But if you start off on the wrong foot and with a bunch of problems from every different loft and the other thing, and the breeding's not working, and the babies aren't working, and the racing's not working, what's going to happen? You're going to get frustrated. 9 times out of 10, you're going to say, look, I can't do this. This is too hard. I'm totally frustrated. Half my birds I lost to sickness. The other half I lost to training. You get frustrated and you quit. So what I'm saying for new flyers, I'm just trying to kind of give a kind of roadmap as to what is the best way to approach it. And I don't know if getting different, 50 different birds from 10 different lofts, I don't know if that's the
Hey,
best foot to
look,
start
wait,
off on.
hold on. Here's something cute. We talked Tony, Karloff. Nice guy, great guy. He had the crack tumblers. He's now into race birds. A guy told him, don't let your birds out in the heat at all. Take your young birds, let them out first thing in the morning. It's cool, blah, blah, blah. He lives on what I call a pigeon highway, where pigeons are being trained up and down the road. So the guy, he's new. Oh, this guy's a reputable guy. He says he's a good flyer. He told him, let him out at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. He lives on the pigeon highway. He's lost 20 of his birds off the roof. They get sucked down. They get dragged away, sucked away, blown away, whatever. Let them out in the middle of the day. Get them out. Let them work. Let them land. Let them puff. Let them this. Kick them up a few times. Hold on. You see today, the wind's bad, eh?
No, I know what you're saying, but what if you're not in the situation where you're able to let them out at, 1 o'clock in the afternoon because either you're at work or you have neighbors or whatever.
Let them out when you get
everybody
home.
is at home, right?
Okay. So you either let them out when you get home from work or you let them out in the morning. And when you let them out in the morning, you have to say to yourself, watch.
I'm taking a chance.
I'm gambling. Don't whine. Don't bitch. Don't complain. Put your big kid pants on. Say, I'm playing the game this way. I'm playing it this way. And that's how you have to play it.
Getting back to the beginner people.
And Rita has a question
buy the best.
So Rita's question is, would you buy your base pigeons from the same loft when starting to prevent sickness from many lofts?
No. It don't matter where you get them from. Sickness comes. I don't think people stop.
Yeah, but then what my point was, would you say it's advisable for a new flyer to start with 50 birds from 25 different lofts? Do you not think he should hand select maybe 1 or 2 or 3 lofts that you're familiar with, that maybe you've gone to visit or you've done some research on?
Yeah, or if you're buying birds or you're buying stuff like that, that's fine. But if you're getting birds from 15 different guys because they're charity casing you and helping you out, you're going to have nothing but problems.
It's nice to get helped out, but
it's nice. You feel good when it happens, and then you end up dumping drugs into them, and it doesn't work. So you know what? You're better to say. This is what you're better to say. Hey, I'm going to use your name, and I'm going to use Dave Ottaway's name. Mm-hmm. Yours and Dave's. Hey, I'm getting into it. Yeah, okay. I'm going to have Richard. I'd like to buy 20 youngsters to fly off you. I'd like to fly 20 youngsters off you. I don't have no breeders, nothing.
Right.
20 youngsters. I don't care about pedigree. I just want to fly 20 youngsters.
Right.
Call up Dave Ottaway or Frank Eichhorn or somebody. I'd like to buy another 20, and I'd like to fly them. Would the pair of you help me out or talk to me? And you tell the guy, hey, Richard's talking to Dave, Dave's talking to Richard. So you give the guy sort of the same slight recipe with the odd tweak and the same birds. Great idea. But don't go and get 2 from Richard, 8 from Dave, 6 from Gary, 1 from Ben, 19 from Larry, and 4 from somebody else. I agree with that, Lee. I think you're right on that one.
As a starter, number 1, start off with good pigeons, okay? And that's going to help you out. But I always say, even a person that starts at 30 years old, starts off at 40 years old, 50 or 60 years old, or 70, that starts, I look at him in the face and I say, you have to remember one thing. You, as a pigeon flyer, have the brain of an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old child. And in 20 years from now or 30 years from now, you may be a good flyer. I'm just saying, it takes time.
It takes time.
And how many times when you speak to an 8-year-old, there's so much to learn that you tell them, do it this way, you should do it that way, or you should do it, if I tell him, do it this way. Half that stuff I told him,
gone.
It just goes right out of his head. He can't absorb it. So what I'm saying is you can't absorb. You remember, guys, 50 years old. Remember when I told you this? Oh yeah, I forgot it.
It takes time, and it takes time, and it takes a hell of a lot of
And
mistakes.
the other thing is, internet and books is sort of great, but the hands-on, day by day, day by day, day by day, is the very best, because you can't. A lot of guys that say, well, you could tell they're book guys. Hey, guess what? Better off to go buy another book, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Because you didn't listen to me.
Oh, I know.
Okay, buy another book.
Okay, so Tony and Rita are saying 30 years, oh my God, we'll be dead. And, we're not saying 30 years to discourage
Hold on.
anybody. It's not,
Hold on.
30, come on, 30 years is a
Hold
little
on. Hold on. Come
unrealistic
on.
here.
Hold
But
on.
it does take time. It does
Hold
take
on.
time. But don't get frustrated if it's not happening right away, right? It takes time. Dad, how many races have you lost? Ryan, how many have you lost? Dave Ottaway, how many have
I've
you
lost
lost?
hundreds of them.
Listen, before I went to Europe to play soccer in the wintertime, this man would take me to the school on the soccer field that was full of snow, and he'd kick balls at me, bounce it off the snow. Never played snow in Europe, but he gave me the technique, the control to do it. You put those extra hours in. Now, hold on. 30 years. It could take you 60 years to be a good pigeon man, but you got to put time in. The more time, the more effort you put in, the more understanding, spending with the birds, the quicker you pick it up. It's all in time.
It's all learning.
Right.
And it's what your brain can understand. It's what you can see. Can you read it in the pigeons? Hey, it's windy today. Richard, can I ask you, in this wind, how many guys have told you, I will never let my pigeons out in this wind? Why do you have your pigeons out in this wind?
Because it's good. They can't fly in wind. I don't want them.
Now,
that's it.
No, they could blow away though.
So I lose them.
Good. And the beat goes on.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, do you want to have babied pigeons on your race team? Pigeons who don't like to fly in over 25-degree temperatures, pigeons who don't like to fly if there's, 20-kilometer wind or whatever you want to call it. Do you want that on your race team? You wouldn't want that. Maybe in the breeding lot, like I don't know, maybe you want to have them as the mascots, but you wouldn't want them on the team, right?
No, that's where I'm saying. At the end of 4 years, then you're on my team.
That's right.
You're going to be on a stock team. But you talk about new flyers, they call you up and they go, I got a bird that's sick. I need your help. I said, oh, a couple questions. What's it doing? Is it sneezing? Did you check his mouth? No. Is it sneezing? I don't know. Did you check his mouth? No, I didn't. Did you check his crop? I mean, feel it. Is it all blowing up with air or what? Did you feel it? Is he eating?
What's the droppings?
Wait, I haven't really noticed if he's eating. How are his droppings? I didn't see the droppings. I don't know. How's his back end? Is it all yellowish around his feathers? Is it all stained? I didn't really look.
Are his feet dirty?
I didn't really notice. Is he on a perch? I don't really know. Okay. So right there.
You know what you're doing?
The guy brings the bird to me within a second. And I said, oh,
but all those things he said, there's only one answer. That's right. You have to observe. We observed the cockbird on the roof that's crazy and in love. We're observing it. We're not inside. We're looking. Look deep. Read between the lines.
When you start training, if your birds are circling and circling and circling and circling and circling, there's something wrong.
Right.
Right.
You could have some respiratory, but maybe again, it's your start of training. You got to learn it a bit. So you have to, and again, you don't learn this right away. You don't learn it out of the book. You learn it by bouncing the ball.
I don't know why he's circling. I trained him to Toronto. Then I took him to Whitby.
Yes.
And I took him to Guelph. I had a guy one time bought pigeons off me, young birds. He said, I want to buy some young birds. He was a beginner flyer. I said, there's 60.
Ben Batiste.
I said, there's 60, don't stereotype anybody.
I like Benny.
But there's 60 young birds. You want 4? Buy them off me. There you go. 25 bucks a piece. That was like 40 years ago.
Right?
Right.
But
50 years ago. This same young flyer, he says to me, you know, Rich, out of those 4 I bought off you, there was only one that was any good.
Here's
It was
the kicker.
a blood red one.
Here's the
I said,
kicker.
oh yeah, what was that? He told me this, I don't know, March or April. He says, I had to go to Montreal. It was February. And I took the 4 to Montreal and let them go in February, which could have been -10 or -15 or whatever. And he said, I only got one back.
So only one
What?
was good.
It was the red one.
Now hold on. Why did I say Bernard? Because he's Bernard the Fifth. And hold on, I'm not stereotyping old Bernard. That's a defining moment there. And you want to know what though? That statement that was given to you.
When I listened,
Boy, oh boy.
no, when I listened to it, and
Make
he
a
told
drink.
me that, I shook my head
Yeah.
and I walked. You weren't even born yet. I walked in the kitchen and I said to my wife, this new flyer, do you want to know how dumb he was?
we love
We
you,
love
Ben.
you, Bernard. We love you, Ben.
But this is the thing, and this is
I'm
what
just
I want.
saying it's part
Listen.
about becoming a pigeon flyer.
I get that. But like Rita says, Rita and Tony, which I think they had kind of a discouraging week last week there. I believe they lost a few off the roof or whatnot. And I feel like they're feeling a bit beat down here at this point. And what Rita says is, but athletes have a time frame. And now I hear old and new pigeon racers also have too many years to wait. Maybe we should throw in the white towel. Don't,
Well,
don't,
wait a minute.
don't,
Hold on.
don't,
Hold on.
don't,
Hold on.
don't get
Hold on.
discouraged.
Hold on. Hold on a second, eh? You know, I can cook steak, eh?
They're
Do
not.
I cook steak good?
Yeah.
I cook steak good.
Right.
I cooked last night a steak at my sister's place. I cooked her to shit. I
Right.
ruined it.
Right.
It was shit.
Okay.
Come on, let's admit it. It was bad. Leah, I'm not knocking you. You didn't cook it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm used to cooking a steak like this. Okay? I cooked the steak that thick and I overdid it. Do I say now today, I'm never cooking steak again. I can't do it. Hell no. You know what? I'm going to redo it again. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. It's inside of you. You have to ask yourself, deep inside of you, is this something that you can do? And you know what? To Tony, to Rita, to Richard, myself, anybody, you're only as good as the last time the birds come out. And you know what? Tomorrow morning, I can let 200 out, and 80 are going to be gone off the roof, and I lose them all. Now, do I tuck tail and tell everybody I'm out of the game? I can't do it.
I lost the first time I put them up.
Yep.
The first time I put them on the board.
What'd you lose?
Okay. I lost about 30.
Right. Are you still doing it?
I had a red tail come through those trees, and they never.
But you don't.
They were mosquitoing, playing around. All of a sudden, this thing came through.
But hold on, you're gonna find the good ones. They're gonna find you, but you have to stick with it. You have to be patient, and remember, you don't need 100 to do it.
Do you know what I'd like to do? We should dedicate a show, maybe next show, or dedicate a show. And I would like all of the flyers out there that are tuned in and are watching, the guys who've been doing it for 50 years, the guys who've been doing it for 2 years, I'd like to hear your worst horror stories, your worst smashes. I'm sure you can pick many of them, right, Dad? I'm sure you can go through your mind and you can think of days where you just thought, this is unbelievable. I lost half my race team. A hawk killed it. A weasel got in. I mean, there can be some real horror stories. And maybe because the new people, they might be watching you guys and saying, God, you guys make it look so easy. You know, Ryan, you hardly had any sickness. Richard's not losing birds. Everything's going great. And they look at themselves and think, God, this isn't for me. What am I doing wrong? You know how many horror stories these guys have had to get to this point where you make it look easy? You know, you got to keep practicing until you get to the point where you make it look easy.
I like to say something, and I say it over and over again. I think keeping pigeons is so good for you because when you go and look at your birds, like right now, my birds are down here on the lawn, and I just look at it and I get that darn enjoyment. It's like a child. You know, I get this enjoyment. Makes me feel good every day. But then sometimes I have problems where the birds hit wires and I get them coming back with busted legs and whatever. limpy wings because they've hit a wire. And then it puts me into depressed feeling. And depression, good feeling is good. Depression is very good for the body, very good for the soul. And then I try and say, those birds hurt themselves off. Or maybe a weasel got in and I get depressed and I say, I'm gonna go back and do it again. It's something that keeps you going. I go to bed at night and I think, which one should I pair up? This one, that one, this one, or I think of numbers.
But again, and remember to the new flyers, you have to, when you're playing with this game, you have to remember when you let them out of the building, that's their time to be them. They are not your pigeons at that point. You have to understand that.
I had a friend. He's been passed away for 30
this
years.
Is something because you're going to go on that point. Go ahead.
He's been passed away for 30 years. He died at was about 74 years old, and he always said to me, Richard, I always believe with young birds, right? There's a time in their mind, in their life, where they decide whether we're going to be here or whether we're going to go back to the wild or go in the barn or go in the town or wherever the heck they're going to go. And he believed that they kind of make that decision somewhere around there.
That's right.
Now, maybe that was a pile of bunk, he was telling me, but I think he made sense because sometimes you got a beautiful bird, young birds, you'll take them on a nice toss, a beautiful day, and you can't figure out, oh my God, I took 50 out or 40 out and I dropped 15.
Look at, we won the Holiday Cup in 2011 and 2013. We won it. I put birds out the following year, the same way bred. I spent $5,000 or $6,000 or $8,000 US dollars. Do you want to know what happened? I didn't have one bird in a lot of those races even make it to the first toss. First toss.
So here we've got some great stories and some advice from some people who've been doing it a while to make everybody feel good. Frank Eichhorn says 2 years ago, took 35, got 8 back, finished the season, flew every week. Don't give up, keep going. Carl Gavin says last year I took my young birds 25 kilometers and they came home in good time. Next day took them to the same spot and only got half.
Yeah, great. I'm telling you, I had some years ago. Right. I think it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I was Jim Groves.
Yeah,
him and I were flying partners, and Jim had some health problems. I said, Jim, fly with me. You can come down on race day, whatever. Yeah. We'll talk about training. We'll talk.
We'll be a team.
We'll be pigeon men
together,
shooting the breeze. So what happened? I had 41 youngsters. Was training them, and Jim at that time he went to Europe on a vacation, 3-week vacation. I took them training and I lost them all. I'm not lying, in one toss, all except for 8. And I'm going, oh no, Jim's gone away. He's my partner, and I said, when Jim comes back, I don't know how I'm going to tell him. I said, Jim, this is what happened. I took them out. I lost them all except for 8. I says, I guess we're not going to fly. And you know what Jim said? Guess what? We got the best 8. He said, we're going to fly with those 8. And that year, we won 3 club races. And at that time, we only had the results from 10 in the club. We had about 12 guys in the club, but we only posted 10 birds, right? We won 3 club races, and we won 1 combine, and that's when the combine had about 100 members flying every week.
15.
We lost 1. We won, yeah. And we flew with 8 pigeons, start to finish.
Well,
and
wait,
I said to Jim, we're going to
You want to know what Jim taught him that day? That build a little bit more character. That's called character building.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Now, hey, many years. Can I ask you a question? See this race behind me here? I don't know if there's any damn good pigeons in that building. But I know one thing. If I got 3 birds that start the first race, I will fly with all 3 pigeons. And you'll do the same because You know what? That's what we're looking for.
I believe it was in 07. We started off with 14 old birds that year.
Yeah.
We flew
13 weeks.
We flew right out to Long Lac,
Yeah.
which is 800 kilometers.
Yeah. And that
And
same year,
we ended up
and
with
actually it was
pigeons
in
at the end.
2008. Dave Ottaway, he's on the show. He won the Hearst Open.
Right.
He was third and fourth, I believe, in that race. We were first and second in the combine with the 2 yearling cocks that they wouldn't accept our money. Now hold on. Those same pigeons that won that Hearst Open, Dave. We sent them the next week to Long Lac. We only got one of the two back.
We lost one. Well, I remember.
Wasn't it fun?
Okay,
I
so I
one
think
time
I
in the-
think the moral of this story is you
Canadians
always
need
hear
some more
about the
water and
wins.
ice.
You always hear about people's wins, and people go crazy about I won the combine or I won the club, and you hear about the wins, but you don't normally hear about how many failures and depressions and smashes it took to get that one win. So again, don't get discouraged by what you see or what you read, or you got to start always at the bottom and make make your way to the top, right?
Hold on. And here's the best thing. This is all I can say to.
It's a bit windy there.
I'm going to use Tony as an example. Tony, it's not bad yet. It hasn't got bad yet. It's still sunny, sunshine and rainbows. Keep going, my friend. Keep going. Mo last week got wiped out by the raccoon. It ain't bad yet, my friend. It's still great. Keep going. And Henry, you're watching. You're new, right? You're going to lose 40 on one of your tosses. And guess what, Richard? You're going to lose 60 on a toss, and I'm going to luse 100. We're going to keep going, though.
I remember one time at Stouffville Club, we had a Raymore Open every year at Raymore, 325 miles, like 500 and something kilometers. And if you could win that race three years in a row, you got a beautiful trophy,
right?
Like Raymore, right?
Yep.
So I'm waiting. The first year we flew it, we're sitting here waiting for a bird, and it was dark. It was like about 9:30.
Yeah.
But the loft, you could see in the sky. It was a clear night with a full moon.
You can see the silhouette.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm sitting here. Mom's with me, and I'm saying, "There's a bird on the roof. Look at, yeah." Okay. She dropped in here about 9:30.
Yeah.
A black checker hen.
Yep.
I got her in, so won the race, right?
Won the trophy.
Yep. We won the trophy. One little ribbon or whatever it was. So you had to fly it 3 years in a row to win it.
To keep the trophy.
But anyways, the week after, there was another open race, and this hen, she looked like dynamite. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put her back in there.
What happened?
I never seen her back.
Like Tony, you see? There's the secret right there. It's not about the wins. We're all looking for the losses.
Well,
and
one guy said that Robert Mahan.
I got comments here, Dad. We're certainly not, centering anybody out. I'm not at all trying to center Tony or Rita or Mo or I'm new myself.
No.
But just try. I know it can be really easy to just see other people and get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. If you have a genuine love for the pigeons, like my dad says, it just gives them enjoyment to sit and watch them. Don't give up, because you're going to get there. You will get there.
Hey, people, I know pigeon flyers that are in their 80s, mid 80s. They're still flying pigeons. I know another fella, his dad is 93 years old, and he's still
and he can't win the same way he did.
Yeah, he can't.
But you want to know what? He understands it, and he's in there, and he's trying, and you gotta learn. You gotta be patient, and remember, please, Rome was not built in that day, and it's okay to lose them. It's okay to come dead last. It's okay to have a bad breeding season. It's okay to make a mistake at training. It's okay, and it's okay to talk about it. And the best thing you can do, you just get it out of your chest.
Hey, listen, I started riding 100%. A bicycle. I started riding a bicycle when I was 3 years old. And guess what? I fell off the bicycle a lot of times and scraped my knees and did all kinds of stuff. My brother and I used to try and knock each other off the bikes and all this stuff. And when I was 14 or 15, I fell off the bicycle again. And I scraped myself all of whatever because I was trying to show off no hands. And what did I do? I got back on that darn bike and kept riding.
And you just
And
keep
you know
riding.
what?
Okay.
Wait, take
Bill
your headset off if
Vulgaris,
you're getting up.
Bill Vulgaris
Go ahead,
says,
Bill.
every new flyer needs a mentor. Now, what are your guys' thoughts on a mentor? Who should be a mentor? Because
Now,
sometimes we have too many mentors. Do you know what I'm saying? You
yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Hold
who
on.
should be a
Hold on.
mentor?
I gotta get those birds.
Okay, go get them in if you have to get them in. Here's something. I am a Derek Walsh fan. You know that, Leah.
Yes.
And Derek Walsh is a sprint machine. He's flying between 80 and 120 miles most of the races, 99% of them. So I talked to him the other day on the phone, and I'm going to throw this out quickly. I said, boy, Derek, these youngsters, they're flying here. They're an hour and a half, and they go up and they go down, they go up and they go down. And he said, Ryan, my birds, sometimes they only really fly for about 20 minutes. I want my birds in the loft.
Hmm.
Now, he could be a mentor. He could be, listen, Leah, I'm going to tell you something. Derek Walsh, I'll take the advice. But you got to learn sometimes to read between the lines. He's flying sprint races. He wants them up and home and in, up and home and in, up and home and in. Here in North America, we got to go from 100 miles to 350 miles. So we need the pigeons to be more athletic, better conditioned. You understand?
Right. Yeah, no, I do
So
understand.
always remember, when you're getting advice from people, you got to watch who you're getting advice from. If a guy keeps pumping pedigrees to you, what has he done? What has he done? If I go, I'm going to say something. If I go and get a bird from Dave Ottaway, pigeons fly. He flies the pigeons to fly them. If I get them from my dad, he's going to fly them to fly them to fly them. I know there's guys around here, they buy pigeons, they have nice pedigrees, and they don't work the birds at all. So what you get is a candy ass pigeon that will not do it.
I know that fellow you were talking about.
Right.
He says he maximum trains him 20 miles, right?
Right.
And then he says, I don't go further because Scotland or Ireland, wherever it was,
it's
he
the
says
break.
There's mountains and valleys and mountains, and the falcons are so bad.
Right.
And those pigeons that fly 80 miles or 100 miles, but listen to me.
Right.
They fly like we do here, maybe 200 or 300 miles. It's like Dave Ottaway says, his birds got to come fly along the water or whatever they do there. It's very, very tough terrain.
So Bill Vulgaris has a good point. He says your mentor has to be in the same game you want to compete in.
Yes, okay, 150%. That statement is right. And if you're in our area, you pick a guy that's good in our area, consistent. And what's good? It's not one race. You see how the man competes for a year. No, not 1 year, not 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. He's consistently good. You pick his brain and you hope to give you the right information. But I suggest if you're going to get a mentor, so if Richard's going to be your mentor, okay, hold on, and he's giving you advice, and then you go over to Gary Smith, and he gives you advice, and then you go back to Richard and say, well, Gary Smith says you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna sour your mentor.
Well,
I'm telling you this right now.
No, I do.
Remember what I said. 99% of it is true. There's 1% that's false. And I think what you got to do is, as a beginner, you have to speak with different people and listen to what they're saying. And if you say this guy's a top-notch flyer, now listen to what he says. Now listen to this other fellow who's had birds for years and listen to what he says. And try and put all these pieces together so they should all sound the same.
And
it's like
hold on. And what he's saying is this. You want to, Leah, I'm going to ask you a question, Leah, because you're new, okay? You're a newbie.
Yes.
Leah, Derek Walsh has great pigeons, right?
Yes.
If I said to you, you're interested, Leah, in flying 4 300 to 500-mile races, would you buy Derek Walsh pigeons or would you buy someone else's pigeons?
Just starting out.
Yeah.
Well, Derek is mostly sprint, so in my new person's mind, I would think that I would go for if I was just starting out, I'd want to go towards somebody that's in my kind of distance and who's doing
Yes.
well at that distance.
And
that's
But what I
that's
I
what you
would
got to
do.
watch. You got to watch. If you got a guy that's flying 100 to 200 mile races and he's killing it, you want those birds for your sprint programs. Maybe you'll stretch them a bit, but don't expect more. You want to go distance, you pick a distance guy. You have to watch the bird you're buying.
But then I like to take a sprint pigeon and put excellent sprint pigeon and put that to
but-
maybe a longer distance pigeon
But that's
to
like
increase
next
that.
level. To me,
That's next level.
from when I'm new
I gotta
looking
go
at
there.
that, I do
Okay,
get the
go.
concept of that, but I think that's a little too advanced for somebody just starting out. I get what
You're
you're
only at
saying. You want
8:13.
to introduce that
You're okay, yeah.
sprint. You want
Sorry,
to put
Leah,
the
go ahead.
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But it's the same. It's exactly what we're saying. Don't go and buy beautiful show pigeons from a pigeon show racing homers, and ask them to race. It's not going to happen.
I know. I went to a show one time and I seen it's called Show Racing Pigeon, right?
They're beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. No. I said I seen the owner of it. I said, well, how? I mean, how do they fly? What's your background? What's your record? What's this and that? He said, oh, it went to 100-mile race.
There you go.
And that's it. Well, and then you handle it, and it's like holy jump.
You got to do all your research.
You have to do your research in anything when you're who you're going to buy birds from, or who you're going to get birds from, what kind of loft you're going to design, who you're going to pick as a mentor. Be picky on who you're going to pick as a mentor. Don't just pick anybody, or just, if a guy's been flying 2 years and you're best buds and you go for coffees, that's not really your mentor. That is your a co-team, not a co-racer. You know what I'm saying? I
It's
would
a
not
friend.
select somebody 10 years and under. In my mind, I'd be looking for somebody who's like been doing it 20, 25, 30 years and who's had a consistent record, not only just with your race results, but as far as your birds, the health of the birds, a consistent all around flyer, racer and pigeon keeper. That's who I personally would be looking for. Franco Basiglia has a comment. He says, best advice, have fun. We are here because we love our pigeons. It's not about winning. It's about knowing how to accept how to lose. You don't have to have a lot of pigeons, a small team, and have fun. Just stick with it, be patient. We love our birds and learn to listen to others. Some advice is good, some is not. At least we're out socializing and having fun. I love small team flying. Challenge yourself. That's great advice. That is great advice.
I got a couple words to say there too as well. It's like, guys, you gotta be fair to your birds.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
what does that mean?
I've gone so many times to a pigeon club and say, hey, how's it going? How are your birds doing? Well, I don't know. I think they're going to do good this week. I took them 3 days ago to 40 miles. And you think they're going to do good this week? Well, listen. All you're doing is.
And then he tells you that was their second toss, and I let them out 3 times that week, and that's it.
And then I've heard another. Then so he came to the club. He got one bird. He was right at the bottom. He lost birds, right? And then another pigeon man says, right to him, don't worry, Jack. Take him once on Wednesday to 50 miles, and you'll see you're going to be at the top of the sheet. Now listen, I'm sorry, but
it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that's like saying I'm going to be a football player if I kick the ball 4 times and now I'm going to play football.
And that's what I'm saying. You have to be selective with your mentors. And for you mentors out there, speaking to the Richards and the Ryans and the Dave Ottoways, when we're new and we're starting out, we are going to have dumb, ridiculous questions that we're going to come to you and you're going to think to yourself, that is the dumbest question I've ever heard. Just don't make the new guy feel like a dummy. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I've seen it. I've witnessed it where a guy just doesn't know, and maybe he asks one of the older guys, and the older guys literally like shoot him down, where it's like, how could you ask such a dumb question? Don't do that, guys. You're not helping. Even if you think it's a dumb question, just say that with your inside voice inside your head, and then
I've done it.
give
I've done it.
give
I've
the
done it.
give the new guy or girl a response. Don't make them feel dumb, because it doesn't kind of help. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you there, and I'm actually going to say that I'm
a lid on that water.
I'm the first one that's done it. I've done it numerous times. But I know sometimes you get frustrated, and you know what really frustrates you as a guy trying to help somebody? If you give people advice and you give it to them and you're sincere when you give it, and then they turn around and they don't use it or they quit on it or whatever, and you go, you know what? The next time you ask me, I just fire off, because you know what? I don't. We're in North America. What time do we have, Leah?
No, we
I mean,
hardly.
you see a beginner, you see a beginner flyer, and I'm going to tell you, if you're going to become a beginner flyer, first thing to do your research, right? Buy what your money can afford to buy, and buy yourself a basket.
Yeah.
Because I've seen too many times
Tip of the day.
beginner flyers coming over, and they got them in a cardboard box.
Oh, that
they got
drives
no
me crazy.
bedding in there. There's crap all over the feet, crap all over their tails, and like let's put the pony in a proper wagon.
Yep.
Let me get to the YouTube. Sorry, guys, I've been neglecting you over there. Antonio Rodriguez says racing pigeons is a cutthroat sport. No one will tell you the truth. And Jason Mihalik says that Jason Loft was second on 450 miles. Congratulations, Jason. What do you think about Antonio's comment that it's cutthroat? No one will tell you the truth.
I would have to say probably 90%, maybe. I don't know what percentage, but what I am, I tell you the truth. I'm not hiding anything from anyone. I have to tell them the truth, what my feelings are as the truth. Because
and that's that's why we do this show, and that's why we rip on the pigeons, and that's why the way we are. But that's you and me, and I will agree. I will agree with them. I will agree with them. I hear a lot. I hear a lot of real bullshit.
I agree what he's saying. When guys come over and they're beginner flyers, I say, because I believe putting them in the dark. Some guys say, youngsters. Some guys say, Guys say, I don't believe in putting them in the dark. Guys say, I won a North Bay. You will hit once in a while, but on a regular basis, you're going to be 20 minutes to a half an hour behind. Okay, but so the new flyer, I tell them, you should put your pigeons in the dark. This is the system you should do, and I'm helping him out. I could sit back when he said to me
and agree,
and I go,
yeah, you're right.
You didn't put him in the dark?
Good
That's
job.
good. That's perfect.
Right.
And he's going to find out when the head molt's gone and the coverts are gone.
But you know the sad part is, it doesn't take him 1 year to figure that out. It takes him 5 to 7.
That's right.
And you want to know the other thing?
At least.
And I say it, you just got to really, what's great is if you pick a whack of good flyers, and I mean, take a look at their results, and the results will tell you if they're good. And don't look at the club result. Look at the federation result. The federation or the combine. And Dave's doing this, and Richard's doing that, and Mike's doing that, and Smith and Anthony's doing that. And you talk to each one of them, and you pick their brain a little bit, and you'll hear what Dave does. 3 or 4 things Dave does, Richard does, Anthony does, and Tony does.
That's exactly what.
And you find the similarity, and then you listen to them some more, and you keep talking, and you nitpick, and you pick it out, and then you know what you do? You go from there.
Because the story, you will always be able to pick out
the similarities.
A similar story. We've seen it again. I'd say when we used to go to Europe and you talk to the breeders in Europe, it doesn't matter which breeder you talk to. If you sit down and talk to them, you will see that the underlying story the system, the method, the bones is the same. Right, Ryan? You've said it yourself.
Right. And they all 99.9% of them say I go out and I try and acquire the best pigeons that I at that time can afford. So if I can only afford great grandchildren, I go and I get them. If I can afford grandchildren, I get them. If I can afford directs, I get them. And if I can afford the actual winner, I will afford
How
it.
many times have we been to flyers in Holland, Belgium, and you speak with these flyers, and they go, you know, I got a cockbird off of Johnny Boy.
Yep.
And then you go visit another guy 80 miles down the road.
Same
and he
story.
says, I got a cockbird off Johnny Boy, and I'm going to, and I've got him in a special spot, right? And I'm going to put that to this hen, to that hen, to this hen. The other guy's doing the same thing. The next guy down there says, you can hear it.
And it's from the same guy. And again, we go back, Leah, to Xavier Verstraat. Look at Annemie Van Hee. Look at Anik Gochan. Look at them. You see them? You see?
Popping up.
You see those same birds popping up.
That's right.
The same flyers.
You see it. But you have to be able to read into it. And you have to slow down and not be so damn, what is it called, gullible? And get sucked in. Slow down. Take your time.
I'm just going to get to the YouTube comments, please, because we're almost on an hour and a half, and I just want to get to the comments here. Jason says that he only sent one bird, and it was a winning bird, being second bird from 450 miles. And Jason only has a small loft with very good selected pigeons based on eye signs. So Jason's a big eye sign guru, and I think Mike Vanderyak is as well. Dave is as well. We have to dedicate one whole show to eye signs. And we'll talk about eye signs and have like the great eye sign debate. So we'll look for that one of these weeks.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Do you want me to bring? Can I wait? With the eye sign debate, can I bring in the Europeans too?
Okay, you can bring in the Europeans as well. We will do that
go
though,
ahead.
because it's the great eye sign debate. We'll have to set a date for that. Okay. Antonio says that flyers like to leave a couple ingredients out of the recipe, but then he says, if you want the sport to keep growing, don't F the new flyers around.
Yes.
I love that. That is 150% right. If you guys want this sport to continue, don't be a douchebag to the new guys.
Hold on.
Just don't.
Hold on. I'm going to give you the tip of all tips that it took me about 1,900 times watching a video to learn.
Right.
And Leah knows I watched this video.
Right.
The Mike Gannis darkening system video. When he tapped the floor to tell Debbie to cut the tape off. Mm-hmm. He bred the babies in early, they were banded the last week of December. That early. He said the secret to the darkening. You leave the pairs together. And he separates them 2 weeks before the races, right? Mm-hmm. The secret was he allowed them to go down on eggs and babies. And if you talk to any widowhood guy, when a pair of pigeons goes down on eggs and babies, they're no longer young pigeons. They've sexually completely matured, and they're now flying smart widowhooded pigeons. But so many people would separate the birds early, and they don't allow them to mature. And that was an ingredient he never said in the video. Make sure you allow them to go down on eggs, and if they hatch, let them hatch.
Let them hatch one young one.
Let them hatch it. Let them hatch it and have it for 4 or 5 days and get rid of the youngster. It brings them, it bonds them.
The other thing too is if you got your young birds together and they're maturing and they're falling in love.
Puppy love. It's not even love.
Yeah,
it's not even love.
But why would you separate those? Like, how depressing is that to a bird when he's in puppy love and you now separate him? I just think it just takes the mood right off. He's just so screwed up. He doesn't know which way he's going to go. The first time you put him out to a race, he thinks, oh, I lost my love. What am I going to do? I just think it's very, very hard on those birds.
Rita says, poor Rita. Rita's having a Monday. She says, how many years does that take, Ryan? No matter what you can afford, how many years does it take to find the truth? Oh, Rita.
1900 times of watching that movie. I had it on a VHS tape. The tape wore out. I would watch it, and I would watch it, and I would watch it. You know, the day I met him, I repeated the whole video to him. I repeated about 5 minutes of it. He says, holy shit, you're nuts. And I said, oh, yeah, I am.
Eric says Dean Pallett is credible, proven combine winner. We've got another Dean Pallett fan over on YouTube. Dave Ottaway says all the top flyers use each other's pigeons. Mike Vandriak says dollars and quality do not equate. Price has more to do with advertising than results. Oh, that's a whole nother show. Those are
hold
fighting
on.
words.
Hold on. You know what? I was in San Diego.
Mike.
I was in San Diego, and this was a good moment for me. The man who owned Sherbet, Victor Valenzuela, he won $1 million with that pigeon. Mike Ganis really missed the boat on that one. Sorry, Mike. That one hurt, but you know. It's okay. Not kicking you. I've been kicked too. I went out. I had dinner with him. We won the Holiday Cup. He offered a lot of money to buy the Miss San Diego hen, and I didn't sell it. We were talking, and he went to Leonbour's and bought all the proven 3 to 4 to 500-mile hens. And he said, Ryan, I'm going to tell you something. Pedigrees will lie. Results will never lie. The result is the only thing on the paper that is the truth. So if the band number matches up to the result, that's its pedigree. He paid huge money for the birds. He got huge in return. He sold a lot of pigeons. He won a lot of money races. If you're done with your money, you're going to lose. You're good with your money, you're going to win. You can buy cheap pigeons that do great for you. You can buy expensive pigeons that do great for you.
But if you go looking for birds and you go, let's say, to Dave Ottaway, who's got a good reputation, I'm going to put some names. Let's say Xavier Verstraat.
Right.
Let's say Annemie Van Hee. These people have great reputations. Proven. Now, you go and say, how much would you like for that bird? And he says, I want 10,000 euros. You're going to say, that's out of my price range, right? But if you had the money and bought it, it's proven. Mike Ganis had a video, step by step. He left not one stone unturned. And Mike Ganis said, some people will watch the video, but if they miss a couple steps, a few steps, they're out. Look at this here.
Yeah,
you guys want to watch my birds coming in?
No, and that's it. Or they watch the video, or they listen, and what they do is they take the first 5 steps, they miss the next 5 steps, and they add the last 5 steps, and they have nothing.
You want to watch
because they add their steps in, and those aren't, maybe they're not the right steps, but.
Question. Henry has a good question. When looking at a pedigree, what does it mean when you see equal first?
Garbage. Listen. Equal first? What does that mean, eh? It means sunshine and rainbows. How many birds were equal first? 1 bird, 2 birds? No, equal first is what?
I
loft flew them today.
Equal first is a lie that we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better. As far as that's what I think. I think first in the clock is first. Equal first is like everybody gets a participation medal because we're all here to have fun. I don't agree with, personally, I don't agree with equal first. I think it's a lie that we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel good. That's just my thought.
The only thing, equal first was designed for North American one-loft racers because the guys took them on such easy races that the birds all come together. And when you get 30 birds together, how do you tell somebody that the first bird that went in the clock was the winner? To keep people coming back, they made up equal first.
And this year at the Olympics, I hate to keep going back to the Europeans, but I look at a lot of European pedigrees because that's what I do for a living. And I I cannot remember where I've seen on a European pedigree a result that says equal first. If anybody has seen it, let me know, because I've not seen. I've not seen it. They're never.
No, it's
I have
shit.
not
It's
seen it.
it's
Yeah.
bullshit. They don't race in bullshit world here. Bullshit world.
Bruce,
You know what?
sorry,
There's
Ryan.
more.
Anyway, equal first. I don't know. Maybe you guys have differing opinions on equal first. Perhaps you guys see the value in it. But I don't really do. I don't, and Ryan doesn't, and I don't think Dad would as well. Okay, Bruce Moore says Ryan and loft manager Ricky are my mentors. Oh boy.
No, I'm nobody's mentor.
I watch and I'm learning, and I watch and I listen for the truth, and that's what I'm looking for, and I thank you all for what you all do. Well, that's very nice. Brian hates being what do we always say? We are not role models. Like, we're gonna get
No.
T-shirts that say we are not role
We're
models.
not. I'm not. Don't listen to anything I say.
If you're 13, don't try and be like us, okay? We don't ever try and say that we are anybody's want to be a role model or a mentor. I don't think, Ryan, you want to be. Maybe Dad does at this point in his life, but
Well, no, it's not that I don't want to be, but I got still so many mistakes to make. Hey, Leah, you know as well as I do with these one lap birds. I tell you, my best day is the day of the last race when I put the birds into when they start clocking and it's done and it's over. Then I'm done. Right now, I'm still the same loser as everybody watching. I'm still a loser.
Antonio on YouTube and Mike Vanderyak on Facebook, they agree that equal first means that the bird came in with the winning bird. Equal first means the bird arrived on the landing board with the winner, so they arrived together from the race, but one clocked ahead of the other. So I don't know why we do it.
Well,
We're never
it's a
going to do that,
pyramid.
okay? Ever.
It's a pyramid. It's a freaking pyramid. You know what? I got to go back to the big dog, the Hoosier. You're going to pay how much? Yeah, give me the first bird in the clock, and you watch all the crybabies when he puts 30 on the drop. Forget it. Equal first means suck ass racing. Actually, you know what it means? Don't let them out, it's too warm, or don't let them out, it's too windy, because you know what? I'm a candy ass and I ain't going to fly it.
If anybody
Sorry.
who's new, or anybody at all, maybe we could do a show dedicated to pedigree reading, how to read a pedigree, what the little boxes mean, how they relate, what the signs mean. If you guys want to do a show on how to read a pedigree, we could do that as well. I mean, we're no
Good idea. That's a good one.
not that
You're
we're
good at it,
experts,
Leah.
but
You're good.
well, no.
It's the best. When we get pedigrees come in, I almost like lead the pedigrees because you're good at reading pedigrees. All I can say is if you're reading pedigrees, try and go for the most fruit on the tree.
But for people who don't know, literally, it looks like a roadmap to nowhere if you don't know how to read it.
Oh, it's deadly. It's the worst thing to look at.
And I mean, if you're going to be purchasing pigeons, it's kind of important that you know what the heck the pedigree says.
I
At
agree.
least somewhat. I mean, I get people who still don't know what the symbols are for cock and hen. Like they can't, and that's just because nobody showed them.
I still got a guy on the internet, Leah, that's strutting a pigeon's legs and smacking the back and showing you it's a strong back.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah, I know. Mike Vanderyak says, do a show on how to write a pedigree. That is a lacking skill. Oh, Mike, from your lips to my ears, let me tell you, that drives me crazy. Guys.
Oh, look at Mr. Stubborn. Look at him. He's cooing on the board. Look at him. Look at
There
him.
he is.
Son of a bitch, Dave. Dave, there he is. I want to kill him.
Is he going to go in?
Oh, yeah, because you know what she said? Hell with you. I ain't
so
sleeping
funny.
in the frickin' garage. Now they got to go into a darkened loft. And you know what he's going? Hey, listen. In the garage, they got a beautiful... They put on the garage light and the cat...
We need to dedicate, another show on how to write proper pedigrees. Guys, if you're going to put your birds up for auction or you're going to sell them to somebody, come on. You need to take that 15 minutes to write the stuff down and write it down properly. I can't. It's a real pet peeve of mine.
Well,
Anyway,
Leah goes on and goes, Canada is worse than third world. The pedigrees that the Canadians write, they don't even know how to write. Well, and I understand why you don't know how to write it. It's bad.
not all of them. I'm just saying. I just think maybe it's just not something that they're used to doing. Maybe we do need to have a show on it, or if somebody needs help,
You're on your own on that one.
Dave Ottaway writes a good pedigree.
Well, yeah, but I'm can't do it.
Yeah, you're not the greatest at it. Anyway, where are we here? Bruce says it's too late. You all are okay in my book, and I'm all in as far as Pioneer Village. You guys' birds look dynamite. That's great. Thank you very much, Bruce. Henry says pedigrees and eye sign would be a great show. All right. I
Oh
think
boy.
we'll do like one pedigree show, and then we're gonna do an eye sign show because the two could take up a lot of time. So we'll do individual shows. We'll
Do
work on
you want
that.
to leave Ricky right off the show, or give him a vacation, his 2-week vacation, eh?
Oh yeah, well for those shows, I don't know. Maybe it'll just be you and me. For the pedigree show, for sure, it'll just be you and me. Eric says, "I love the truth that you guys tell. Keep up the awesome videos. I have learned so much from Ryan." That's great. Thank you very much, Eric. Jay Z says that they're good for starting fires. Pedigrees, Jay Z. Come on now. Dave Ottaway says requires good records to write a proper pedigree. You're right, it does. And the great thing
Yeah.
with Benzing, if you get on Benzing and you get on the My Pigeon program, that is your record keeping right there. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing for those of you who want to keep track, and you really should, because you never know down the road. Maybe
It
you're
helps
gonna
you
say
out. It
now,
helps
like,
you out.
oh, it helps you out. Maybe right now you're like, oh, I'm not at the point. I'm never gonna sell any pigeons, whatever. You never know down the road, and you'll kick yourself if you don't start being organized right from the get-go. Just
Yeah,
ask
you know what,
loft manager Richard.
Richard? Yeah, listen, when you go out and you say I'm going to get into this game, and you're going to go out and purchase pigeons, if it's $500 or $1,000, or you spend $20,000 on pigeons, keep a record, because when it's time for you to guys call you, or you want to sell some birds, you have the opportunity. There's a guy out there that knows nothing about pigeons, that's smacking the back, smoking a cigarette out of his mouth, won one big one-off race. And you know what? He's getting $1,000 a week, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 bucks a week. He doesn't know the difference between a pigeon and a mallard duck. Sorry, I hate to say that.
Antonio says if money is involved, there will be people lying to each other. Maybe
Yes.
he might be, yeah. Well, you're gonna get
Hold on.
liars in every situation, right? Did he go in? No, he's still
No,
on the
look,
porch.
there's Mr. Handsome, Dave. Look at him. Wait, oh, now he's got a problem. To have extra love, he's got to go in the enchanted house. And I opened the gate right up for him. Look at him. Hold on, I'm going to make a move here in a second.
Can he do it? Come on.
I hate him. I hate him, Dave. I hate him, Dave.
Dave, maybe start whistling. Start whistling from where you are. Maybe he'll hear you and he'll go in. He's thinking about it. It's a good way to end the show. I don't know where loft manager Richard is, but are you going to go and get him in and then we're going to close the show? Hurry up. Let's go.
Dad, do you want to say something before we close it off? He's got all his birds in. He's feeling so good, eh? He's bouncing around. He thinks he's going to destroy us. And I'm going to say, Leah, I want to just take a moment. I got to put my hands together for Leah.
Look at this guy here.
On the Flying Bitches team.
Did
Leah,
Dave Ottaway see
go
this
ahead.
bird?
Let everybody know what you're doing on Flying Bitches.
Oh, okay. So you guys might have noticed that the Flying Bitches did bid on the end one, lot number 1 in the auction, the Klaus Petzold pigeon. I will be flying under the Flying Bitches. What is the Flying Bitches? Flying Bitches is a race team that I have developed. I'm going to be also flying the Gold Band birds in the Pioneer Elite Series under that name. If any birds win money, either in the One Loft race or in the Gold Band Elite, I'm going to use that money. I'd like to develop a group called the Fly Girls. And it is for women in the sport, women supporting women, whether it is you want to get involved and be a flyer, or maybe you are a wife or a daughter of a flyer and you want to join our little group. It is just basically to support women and to create a group for women in the sport. So whenever you see the Flying Bitches on the race report, we're flying for a cause.
Yeah.
So
And
want
I
to let
want to
everybody
thank
know
you,
that.
Leah. Leah, I want to thank you. I think the bird you bought was a real nice pigeon, bred by Klaus Petzel. And I think that what you're doing is really good. Again, there's another step outside the box.
Well, we're gonna
And
see how it goes.
I know last week we had our club meeting, and I had club members privately message me. There were new guys. And they felt a little bit in the room overwhelmed by the veteran guys.
One sec. ABC Loft, yes. Put your question in the comment. He has one more question. Go ahead, Ryan.
They were a little overwhelmed. They were afraid to speak up a bit. Stupid questions, eh? Or a feeling.
What, the new people?
A few new guys. Now hold on, because you know how veterans are, and we're a veteran, so we're very dominating. We know what we want. We're not afraid to say it. And getting back, Leah, do you want to ask the ABC question?
I'm waiting for him to put it in the comments. He wanted to know if we had time for one more question.
We were getting back to, and this went down to the 1-bird league, the 2-bird league, and the 5-bird knockouts. People in the room were voting on all of them being released together.
Right.
And I had guys after, okay, a couple days later, they said, well, we were really looking forward to trying bird against bird, like my 1-bird, Ryan, against your 1-bird, against Frank Eichhorn's 1-bird, against Tony Elvis's 1-bird. Would it be okay to just do, like, keep the single releases? And I thought about it. Yeah, we voted. We're all going to let them up together. And one of the biggest things was can we be organized enough to do it right? You're paying us to fly here at Pioneer. This is a business. This is what we do. So the 1-bird league will have a separate release. The 2-bird league is going to have a separate release. And the 5-bird league is going to have a separate release. That's how it was originally sold. That's how it was originally planned, to give flyers an opportunity. Big flyers against small flyers. New flyers against old flyers. We cannot create national races where there's 20,000 pigeons. But I'm going to tell you one thing we can do. We can turn the screws. Less sometimes is more. And those specialty leagues are going to remain as they were. It's not mandatory to fly them. If you want to fly them, you can. By the way,
Right.
Richard,
right?
I don't think anybody can beat you. And I challenge anybody to come and beat him, because he'll be in the 1-bird, the 2-bird, and the 5-bird. And I know guys are going to come to beat you.
Mike says, and then I have the question from ABC, and then we have to wrap it up or we're going to be on here all night. Mike says, let them all go together, and it's not a 1-bird race. It's just a pool. I agree with that as well. Separate releases is a great, yeah. We're going to go with the separate.
100%. I agree with it. And how many times have I heard people will say, there's no way I can beat Joe Blow. He's flying 100 birds to his loft, and he's got, they call it a drag. He's got the drag. I can't win against him. But wait a minute. Let's take away those 100 birds, and we'll have a separate release for each group. 1-bird, 2-bird, separate release for 1-bird, 2-bird, separate release, and 5-bird knockout. Now the screws get tightened. We're going to let 50 birds out.
Or 20 birds, or 5 birds, or 8 birds, whatever the number is. And you want to know what? You, the flyer, have to pick your bird. You have to have luck. And we're going to see who has the pigeons. And it brings it a little bit more even. And we voted opposite of that in the meeting.
Right.
And you know what? It was my idea of them.
But, you know, can I just correct you? At the Pioneer, we don't vote because it's run as a business. But we do ask for opinions.
Right.
And we take opinions into consideration. It wasn't a vote. I don't want people to get the impression like, well, they voted in favor and then we overturned it.
Yeah.
It was just basically an idea, asking ideas, what everybody's thoughts were. Then we took it back, discussed it, and made the decision. So I just wanted to clear that up. It wasn't a vote.
Yeah, thank you. And the other thing is, it's not mandatory. You don't have to fly it.
No.
You put your money in up front and you play the game. All the releases again. He will be the liberator. And people were complaining, well, a half hour in between each race, it's 2 hours of sitting up there, blah, 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 blah. You know what? When you go to the casino, you bring your money, don't you? And you don't whine, you play. Because if you whine, they just throw you out. So there's no whining here. ABC Loft, what's your question?
Frank says time was the big hiccup with all those releases. Yeah,
Well, time. You know what? Time is. We're at Young Birds, we're at 300 miles. In September, 90% of those races are normally tailwinds. And by the way, when we spend $500 or $450 in a 5-bird knockout, I'm looking for the pigeons that got that little bit more. That's what I'm looking for. But if you want a suck-ass version of it, we let them all go together. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to give you the money to play. I'm not paying for it because you know why? It's boring to me. I want to see on a race weekend, I want to see the main young bird race. I want to see a one bird race. I want to see a 2-bird, and I want to see the 5-bird. And I want to sit there all morning. And you know what I want to do? I want to clock pigeons. You want to know why? Because pigeon racing in this country in a year is that big. Winter is bigger.
I will say the man with 20 birds on his race team will have a lot. He will be ahead because he'll be able to pick out those birds he wants to put in those leagues. He will have a better chance than a man that has 200 birds on the transporter. I call it a transporter. I don't like to call it a trailer.
I'm going to get to ABC's question, but Antonio says you're going to have a different winner each week. Is that a bad thing? I think that's a good thing. I give everybody an opportunity, right? I mean, we're gonna see
a different winner. But let's put it this way: if so and so picks a winning bird on the single bird release, right? And he wins this week. And then next week we go to the races and that man or that woman, they win again. Could be a different bird, but that loft won again. Maybe we skip a couple weeks and that loft again in the single bird, he wins again. Ooh, if he's got 100 birds,
he's a good picker.
I will clap and I will shake his hand and say, "Man, you know how to pick your pigeons."
That's right.
Right.
It's hard to pick pigeons.
The man with or woman with the 20 bird loft, if that's the one, he knows his birds, right? I think I know what this person. And if we get a different person every week, congratulations.
Hold on. I want to make better pigeon men. And when your money's on the line and you have the opportunity to, what I'm thinking is you're going to go in your loft, study your pigeons more, study more, learn, become a better pigeon man. You have a bit of money on the line, you want to go and win that money. We're not doing all big one release. We're not doing it because you want to know what that is to me? Bullshit pooling. I'm not interested in that.
So what you're saying, and let's go back again. So that means one pigeon per man.
Per man.
For one bird.
For one bird, and it'll be a single release. So if there's 12 guys
per person,
if there's 12 guys at 300 miles, 12 pigeons will be released together. That's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay,
the group's got to be strong enough to do it.
Come on, go ahead. I got to get to this last question. ABC Loft, he always has great questions. This is another good one. What's more important, the system or the bird?
Both.
Yeah, both.
You're not going to get a fantail to win you a 300-mile race.
But again, like I said before, an hour or so before, if a new flyer doesn't really have a system because he's new, or he maybe has a mentor that's helping him out, but if he misses a couple parts of that system, the mentor is going to sit back and say to him, "Hey, Bob, did you do that?" "No, I forgot to do it. I didn't do it." Okay, but what I'm saying is, if he's got a top-notch bird, the bird's better than he is.
Hold on.
Bird's better than he is.
And guys, we're talking about simple shit. I mean, shit that's simple. There's a guy in our area, a young guy. He's flying pigeons. He's a good flyer. The first year he flew, he put all the time. He left no stone unturned, except he used those tubing lighting. When he put the birds from the dark to the light on that fluorescent light,
Basically, you're still in the dark.
still in the dark, the birds started to fall apart and got all screwed up in the molt. And that was his only stone he missed unturned. Other than that, he would have had a great season. But it's the small things. You know,
Speaking of Mike Gannis, he even said to you himself, you can show them, you can write them a book, you can make a video, but how many of them will be able to replicate it,
none.
duplicate it, and succeed?
Give 100 the video, and you may have one that will do it. All the rest of them will take it, take about 50% out of it, and put their other 50% out of it, and butcher it to the end. And I believe him 150%.
What happened to Tracy? Rita just said, wishing you a speedy recovery, Tracy. Did Tracy hurt herself? Tracy, did you hurt yourself fishing? Did she have another? We're falling apart here at the Pioneer. Last week was Mandy. This week is Tracy. I always have a headache. God, we're in trouble.
I believe in what you just said.
Mike Vanderyak says both are important. A great handler with average birds will get beat by a great handler with super birds.
Yes, right on, Mike. Mike's 100% right.
I know some top-notch flyers that can win races with fantails. Okay?
What?
Because he has the experience here.
He gets the most out of them.
Right.
Most out of
so you give him top quality birds, he's just going to blow everybody away. Do you know what I mean? It helps.
It helps.
Right.
You got to have you got to have everything. Again, it's called leaving not one stone, or try not to leave not one stone unturned.
How many times have I heard a flyer? He could have been flying already 10 years. Not a beginner so much, because a beginner's going to forget a lot. But you hear a guy that's flown for 10 years or 15 years, and meanwhile he talks to another fella that's flown a little longer and has done well, and he goes and, you know, he doesn't go and ask the guy, give me this information, he listens, and then he comes away and he says, you think I'm going to do that? I heard what he said. You think I'm going to do that?
Gary, Leah, remember Gary? Yeah, I train them over the water and we'll go around the water. I only had 40 minutes onto them, but you know what? I do the mathematics, and that's what it is. Again, another key guy. I'm going to use the name Ian Sybil.
Right.
He got out of pigeons, he got back in. He bought a whack of birds from our auction site. Move whoop right up to the top. You want to know what he said? I ain't pissing around with shit. I'm going out and I'm buying my horses, and I'm going to cultivate. You know what when I talk to you, you know what he says? I'm not there yet, Ryan. I'm still tweaking. He's already up at the top. The Niagara Club. Watch out for Ian. He's going to bury you in a few more years because the horsepower of the pigeons, I see it. They're out of this world.
Plus,
Mike Vanderyak has
a
great saying, many have the desire to win, few have the will to prepare. I don't know where that's from. I think it's from a book. I don't know. I don't know where that's from, but that's a great quote and a great way to end this show because it's been on 2 hours. So
yeah, Mike is 100% right on that one.
A lot of good stuff tonight. We've had a lot of fun here.
I got Winston Churchill has a phrase that we have on our Feathers Elite catalog, and I'm going to go and get it.
No. We're ending the show.
Give me 1 second. Take me about a second. Keep talking.
Now, by the way, guys.
I think, is he talking about the calendar? Is that what he's talking about?
Ricky, it was a calendar, not a catalog. He's crocking right now. Hey, wait. You always knew you were my hero.
Oh, she had surgery on her tailbone. She shattered it 21 years ago. How could you have shattered it 21 years ago when you're only 19, Tracy? Come on.
Hold on. You missed it, Lee, on the morning show. She has a tailbone. She actually has a tail. She's one of those humans that has a tail, and they surgically removed it.
Yeah, right. Well, we hope you get better soon. Everybody wish Tracy a very speedy recovery. Hopefully they gave you the good drugs. Just saying.
And remember, Tracy, after surgery, always go with the orange Gatorade.
Orange Gatorade.
Okay.
Hold on, he's all jacked up, Leah. The sky has no limits.
Exactly what
We need a fire on. It's getting cold. It's
we're
snowing.
getting cold here. We're gonna temperature change big time.
And he's got to get his earmuffs on.
Okay, so this is on our Pioneer calendar, and this is the nice picture for June.
Which like nobody can see.
You can't see that, but anyways, it says, and Mike Vanderyak had a good statement there, and this relates to this.
All right, Mike, here you go. This one's for you, buddy.
I'm not the best reader, but I'm going to try it.
You always...
Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that's exactly what
we've said all show.
Said.
We've said it all show.
And Tony and Rita,
we've said it all show.
Remember,
keep digging. Dig deeper.
Read this. Never stop.
Never stop. Do what you do because you love to do it. Don't give up. There's your highs and your lows, and you ride the highs.
It is the
and
courage
you go with the lows.
To continue that counts. The courage to continue.
That's right.
That counts.
Well, that's a great. You know what? That's a great statement.
This is a statement, and
that's a
Mike Vanderyak said
right.
the same statement,
okay,
but in a little different way.
Now this is what I want to say to you.
If you want a calendar like this, it's very cheap.
Okay.
We got half price because we're halfway through the year.
These calendars were normally $100. They're now $50. We will rip out the
yeah. No,
before the June months.
We're making the 2022 calendar. That's what the team winners, team challenge winners. Everybody's going to get a 2022 calendar like that. By the way.
And
okay.
with those calendars, you are going to get them autographed by Lofmander, Richard, and myself. It's going to snow here. We hope the shit-pillars are going to die. We're not sure if it's going to happen.
It has been a great show. Again, YouTube, you guys have been great questions, great comments. Same with our Facebook family. Thank you guys so much. The family show, we always kind of dread starting it up, and then by the end of it, we're like, wow, that was a great show. Kind of like family and
by
events,
the way,
right?
By the way,
them, and then you go, and they're fun.
If you don't have any shit-a-pillars or whatever you call them, we can mail you.
How many do you want?
A dozen. God. We got fall here, and it's June.
I'm Leah, that's Ryan, and Loft Manager Richard. We're from the Pioneer Racing Pigeon Club of Ontario. Thank you guys for joining us. You guys have a great week. You'll see Ryan tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. with the Pioneer Birds, and we will see you next Monday for the family show. That's it for me, Ryan. Wrap it up.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning. Let's hope we get a better loft fly in. Let's hope the shit-a-pillars die. As I say, inch by inch, brick by brick, mile by mile, slow and steady. You're going to learn how to play the game, learn how to win the races. And remember, losing is the best thing you can do. Keep losing, keep learning, keep your eyes open,